Oi, oi. Christmas bets. I'm going to try and keep this one as quickly as I can. I've recorded each day separately because I'm doing bits in between. But we're going to kick off with Boxing Day, funnily enough. Loads of rain about. I think Ireland, Limerick's proper bog ground, heavy-ish or soft to heavy in places. More rain forecast as well. So do keep your eyes on Weather Watch. And of course, short-term anti-post can be like suicidal. As much as we want to get excited and get onto Christmas, just be careful with your bets. Like, you probably want to be waiting to final decks if you can, just because they could be non-runners galore. Let's kick off with Kempton Boxing Day. I've talked about this in the Cheltenham Exchange video. Don't know if you would have watched it. Go check it out if you didn't. Long Walk Hurdle. Talked about this one quite a bit in there. I backed Gosham. I know it's punty. I think he will stay. It was a sort of a price thing. Miranda's getting so short now, and I can't have her in the slightest. I know Icy's put up on Twitter that she's the best bet of Boxing Day. I'm fucking lost for words on there. Apologies to swear, but I don't know. I know people saying Champ runs first time out and Paige won't be suited to Kemp's and that sort of stuff, but Christ, she's a handicapper, and it's a mare's handicapper too. So Long Walk, I have backed Goshen, so I'm telling you about my bets. That's the point of it, isn't it? What else have we backed? I've backed Ahoy Senior in the King George, put that in the GG column to say that he was too big a price. He's about 20s now. I still think it's too big a price, to be honest with you. Again, the more rain that comes, I think he jumps a little bit better when the ground is a bit better. There is 9 runners in the race. There might be some bookies that are offering 4 places out there. I know he jumps like a table, so you have got that liability that's in there. But for all that he is a horse that jumps like a plank, over fences, he's unseated once, hasn't he? And I think that was his chase debut at Carlisle. Other than that, he is getting round. And I know his last couple of runs have been a bit underwhelming, but he's too big a price. If we're looking at last season's novice form, he's as good as Brave Man's Game and Lahon Presse, I think. Lahon Presse probably is the best of the trio, I think. Brave Man's Game second because his jump is just so good. Ahoy Senior, I think, is probably as good as Brave Man's Game. It's just his jumping's not in there. Too much talking about that particular race, so let's move on. Limerick, I think it's just the Forheen novices chase here we want to get into. Sorry, I should be more prepared. I'm sure Forheen novices chase, isn't it? Or is that the 27th? Am I losing my head? Forheen novices chase. No, sorry, it is. Kilcroot. Kilcroot's a bet for sure. 9-4 he was. If you can get anything above 7-4, Kilcroot's a bet. I like him. Weatherby, Shamblu. Can't take any credit for this. A couple of guys I chat to quite a bit. Aaron and George. Shamblu wins the Roller Merrick. Price has been nibbled in now, but I've had a bit on that off the back of their say, so I did miss the price. They're telling me in the WhatsApp as well, and I was just too ignorant to look at it, so I'm sorry about that, gents. Leopardstown, we've got, I'm trying to, be more organised. The Night Frank Juvenile, you've got Lossiemouth in there. You've got Nusret as well, goes in there for Joseph. So it'd be like an interesting enough race, but not anything in there that's going to be for a betting purpose. Hollow Games is one that I fancy quite a bit. Dennis O'Regan takes the ride. Visionarian for Pete Farr, he's got Keith Donoghue on, who hasn't ridden him before, but Dennis O'Regan has ridden him. So it's almost a bit strange jockey booking wise. So I don't know if Donoghue's had a fallout with Gordon Elliott or what, but I would have expected him to have been on Hollow Game. So that tempers enthusiasm to an extent, but I do not think Hollow Games is the horse that needs a particular jock on top to ride him. I think he's fairly straightforward. So I like Hollow Games. I think this is his trip. And I do think that 3-to-1's an okay price. It's only a small field that's lined up. I'm sort of against Phil Dorr. I know he gets the 4-year-old allowance for the last time here. Maybe gets a little bit at Dublin Race Festival, but won't get it in March. Yes, I like Hollow Games. He's not a huge price. He's not huge value. It's more opinion than anything else. But yeah, I've had a tickle on Hollow Games on Boxing Day. That is my bets. I mean, I'm doing this now as the Boxing Day one. I'll do the rest of the days, like I said, I've already recorded them, so they're going to be stitched into the video. So I'll wrap up a little bit later on. Oh, no, do you know, I'll wrap it up now. Keep watching, because I'm going to do the other days. They'll be in the rest of the video. But Merry Christmas. Please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I do appreciate all your guys' support. Liking the video, commenting's always handy. Let me know in the comments below what your best bets are for the festive period. And I will see you in the new year. 27th, there's a few cards we want to look at here. I'm not going to bother with Limerick, Leopardstown, Chepstow and Kempton. We'll start off with Leopardstown, where we have a few interesting races. There's loads of maiden hurdles and stuff, especially over these few days, where there's going to be some horses that look good. I talk about the sort of novice sphere. Facile Vegas should just absolutely hack up, shouldn't he? So be interesting to watch that race just to see that's what you should do. But I do think the race before, like Chacun Poursoir, you'll know if you've watched the channel for a little while that I am a fan of Chacun Poursoir. This is a deadbeat race. Proper potential not even grade 1 horses in the race. And I know I've put Blue Lord up for a Ryanair. It was more the swing, the fact that Allaho wouldn't go there, and I think they'll step him up in trip. Chacon Possoir could end up as a Ryanair type just for the fact that he's not going to cut it over 2 miles. But he is a 2-miler. I do think he's a really good horse. And he's currently top price 5 to 4. Now, we'll have to see if he gets declared. But if he is odds against in this field, now I know Gentleman Demi could be in there, Captain Guinness will likely be in there, and potentially Blue Lord could be in there. But I think odds against on Chacon Possoir is tempting to me to have a little smash up on him. So should Chacon Possoir be declared, and should Chacon Possoir be the 6 to 4, something like that, who knows? I'm going to go balls deep on Chacon. So we'll see that. It may be after the time I've posted this video, he's not been declared, but we are where we are. At Kempton, we'll do there. Some good races again, some nice novices out there. Bo Zenith could be going, couldn't he, the Talking Horse. The Wayward Lad looks a real competitive race. Something's going to have to run the 150s to win that, so that'll be a good one to watch. Wouldn't have a betting opinion in there. Desert Orchid Chase. It's a real weird one because Edwardstone, when I talked about him and Nube Negra in the slower chase at Cheltenham, I said that there wasn't much between them, and on figures they should both be to run close to each other. They are the same age, but Edwardstone put up a 170 plus Racing Post rating in that Tingle Creek, and it was hard not to be impressed by him. I can't. I don't know how I can't get it in my head. I don't feel like there's that much between Nube Negra and Edwardstone. Obviously there is, like Edwardstone's Chateau in Tingle Creek, so he deserves to be the price, but Nube Negra's like 11 to 4, 3 to 1, which I think he might be. Like I'm real tempted with him, so I might look at price-wise to see what we can do with place betting on Nube Negra. I suspect the field's not going to be that deep, and he possibly would be the same, if not a shorter price than Edwardstone to win the race. Then you just run the argument of, we'll just back Edwardstone to win the race. I don't know. I'm semi-tempted to have a couple of quid on Nube Negra just for the sake of it, but it wouldn't be strong or recommended bet. And again, I've just got to beam up on it about Edwardstone. And he was so good at that Tingle Creek, like looked class, didn't he? But I don't know. I don't know whether I can trust it as a performance. But we'll see. We'll see. It's there, and he beat the right horses. Over at Chepstow again, there's some real nice novice hurdlers and maiden hurdlers that might be going out. You don't need to mention the names of all of those. But we've got the finale juvenile hurdle. Used to be a grade 1, dropped to a grade 2 status this year. Really interesting one because Perseus Way hopefully will run. Possibly has other options. Scriptwriter hopefully could run here. Comfort Zone's the favourite at the moment for Joseph O'Brien. Like, it's a real tidy looking race. That Mediaf for Dan Skelton, and they said they were going to run him everywhere. Still do quite like that one. Does have to carry a penalty in it, but that's going to be a tidy race. Will not be betting in there, but like I say, I do think that is a tidy enough race. So that wraps up the 27th. I'll add in the 28th and 29th after this. Wrapping presents in between days for the videos. Multitasking at its best. So 28th, again, it's just Irish really, and I say again because I'm recording these backwards, so I actually may not have already said about this, but basically Ireland's the best at it for the racing at Christmas. I feel bad for saying that because Boxing Day's so good. Anywho, enough of the waffle. Limerick's got potentially a decent mare's novice chase. I mean, I say potentially. It depends whether Allegory Devassi goes there or she goes for the 2 mile 5 beginner's chase at Leopardstown. I mean, it's going to be as easy a task in either race, maybe even easier in the mare's chase. So fingers crossed we see her out. Should be no price for betting. Just be good to watch her. I say should be no price for betting. I remember when Benny Deju came over and ran at Carlisle, she was 8 to 13. Should have been a 10s on poke. So we'll review that one. But over at Leopardstown, better racing, Christmas hurdles there. I've talked about this in the video with the Cheltenham Exchange lads. Like, I really think this is one of the most fascinating races of the whole Christmas period. You can make a case for plenty of them, can't you? I don't want to be like go into the depth of it again. Classical Dream, I worry about the bounce bit, but like if he won this, he should be sub 2 to 1 for Cheltenham, I think. Like, they ran him too quick last year. This could be too quick again. So that tempers enthusiasm on him. Florian Porter was just too bad the last day to A, be true, or to potentially not be worried about. So again, tempers enthusiasm with him. He's never really been a horse I've got too on board with, apart from backing him at Cheltenham last year. And Bob Oddinger is a bit punty, clingy, all that sort of stuff. But he did run pretty well the last day in the grand scheme of things in that Lismullen. Plenty of other horses maybe had excuses or we're saying they'll come on for the run a lot more. But he potentially could. So I think he's 7 to 2, and he could be a sort of a place bet in there. We do need to see whether he stays or not. I don't think it was ever fair to trust him or to judge him on that Punchestown run. You'll see if you go back and watch the videos, I place laid him in that race because he was never right at Cheltenham, should never have run him at Punchestown, and Henry said that himself after. So he has come back from an injury to do what he did in that Lismullen hurdle, whereas Florian Porter and other horses that are in there, like your Xana Hears, might not run, but they were in there and running fresh. I mean, Home by the Lee had race fitness on side, which is probably why he ran. But Bob Oddinger, I expect to step forward. So I may have a little go on Bob Oddinger. I haven't yet, but I may have a go on him. After this, we've got the Savills Chase. Henry de Bromé was a little bit lukewarm about a Plutard, not saying that he basically saying he definitely doesn't have to run in here, or he doesn't definitely have to run in here. That's scary a bit, isn't it? Because that would change the market completely. 6-4 poke warrants being that price, but I couldn't really want to back him after the Haydock run. And again, those comments from Henry de Bromé put me off a little bit. So you'd want to steam into him, but you couldn't really, could you? Of the others that are in there, Statler will be first time running an open company and does have a bit to find on figures, but I do like him. I think he's rock solid. I think he has got plenty of speed about him. I'm just wondering whether there's something like a Manana Indo or someone that's like capable of doing it here around this sort of track and stuff that might be the ones. So Manana Indo at a bigger price would be one that's interesting. See how the field cuts up. I don't know what places are available at the minute. Won't be having a bet at the minute, but if Manana Indo does line up and he's sort of 7-8 to 1 plus on the machine, which I think he probably will be or should be, depends how the race cuts up. But Manana Indo could be a small bet in the Savills Chase. Oi, oi, 29th is mostly about the Irish. Well, it's all it's going to be about in this video. Limerick and Leopardstown. Limerick has one race I'm interested in. It's the Kew Gardens hurdle. It's a 4-year-old hurdle. Vauban's in there, Pied Piper's in there, Iker Allen, Gaelic Warrior. Now, Willie's touched on Vauban that maybe if he runs, they might find the 4-year-old race for him. Well, obviously, they're going to run out by Christmas because he won't be a 4-year-old anymore. He does have to give weight away to everything. So you've got to give £4 to Pied Piper, £10 to Gaelic Warrior. And it makes me wonder whether, if he's going to run at Christmas, he would have been better to go in the Mathesons because he's off level weight. And I know we've got the Statemans and Chargers in there, but I mean, you wouldn't put Vauban a million miles off those anyway. So I don't think he's going to run at Christmas. Pied Piper will be interesting to see how he goes because I'm sort of in and out of him. Sometimes I'm impressed, sometimes I'm not. It's hard to get a real handle on him, but I think he looks good, and I like the fact he's sort of more quietly being campaigned this season. Gavin Cromwell did that with Espoir de Land, just sort of kept him to grade 3s, kept him quiet. So I respect that for Pied Piper. Being an interesting race wouldn't be a betting medium for me in the slightest. At Leopardstown, there's 2 races. I've mentioned the Matheson's hurdle. I touched on that already. 9-year-old Sharjah. More reliable than Santa to deliver at Christmas, isn't he? I know he fell when Whiskey Sour beat him, but he would have won that day. I'm bemused, really, the fact that he is 100 to 30. Now, I get that State Man beat him in the Morgiana, but you can't judge Sharjah on every single run that he puts in. We know he's insane round here at Christmas. We also know he's not so good round here in the Dublin Racing Festival. So, based on what we know, he should not be 100 to 30. He spanked Saint Noir a couple of years ago, another county hurdle winner. And as much as State Man was a county hurdle winner, he was probably a supreme hope before, and he just never really showed enough to begin with, that it got him a light enough mark to go and win a handicap. And like I say, yes, he did go win the Morgiana, but it wasn't that deep a race, let's be honest. So Sharjah 100 to 30 is offensive. He is a definite bet on the 29th. I fancy him quite a bit, to be fair. And also we got the Neville's Hotel Novices Chase. Now, this is one I don't know whether I would want to get stuck in, and this is where the price stuff comes in again. Manana Karuna is a horse that I like a lot. I do think he's a bit of a dog, and I don't know whether he'll ever make it to top tier grade 1 level, but this isn't a top tier grade 1 by the looks of it. Gaillard de Mesnil is a 6-4 poke, probably deserves to be favourite. Well, he does deserve to be favourite. Manana Karuna is about 3 to 1. So again, when I talked about Sharjah there, 130, 4-time winner, always wins at Christmas. I know he got beat last time out, but Christ, when you look at that in comparison to Manana Karuna, who's been narrowly winning and sort of dogging his finishes, there's different ways you can look at the same price because it's different events, isn't it? But Manana Karuna would be the one that I'd like to keep an eye on the most. I may be tempted to have a little bet on him, depends what sort of price he goes out to. I would have preferred to be backing him at sort of 6-7 to 1, take a bit of a punt on him, and maybe even get some each way scummy money, or just back him in the place market. But interested in those races anyway. They are real good. So be lucky if you follow any of those in, and do let me know if there's anything you fancy.